Dearest gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the town. We are your effervescent host, your neighborhood-friendly Kiwi, Tash from Middle-earth, New Zealand.
And Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her high vibe and loved era.
Settle down onto your favorite settee as we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the town. This Bridgerton podcast is three friends talking romance, symbolism, Easter eggs, and deep diving into the connections of our favorite characters. We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media. Hint, hint, hint. And therefore will contain spoilers.
Today, Tangent Squads, your socials collide. We have a guest joining us from the far reaches of the Bridgerton Kingdom. We know her from TikTok and Instagram, but we now give her the floor to announce all of her social media kingdoms. Take it away, Lady A. Aynsley Broom, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here. Thank y'all for having me. I feel like I should curtsy.
So, we are super excited.
I will say this. One theory, it's not a far-fetched theory, but I do hope and pray that we see Sir Philip Crane at the end of season 4.
I think we are. 4. So I think that the only way that they can play this, so you know about the Paul Moore match with the Order?
Yes.
So Eloise is supposed to be season 5, which in order for that to happen, Marina's gonna have to go oopsie swimmy in the next season.
Yeah.
So I think that we're going to get Sir Philip Crane coming back. And I saw a photo somewhere of Sir Philip Crane hanging out with one of the cast. Was it Luke or one of the Lukes? I saw a photo.
I just saw him double fisting, and I was like, oh, to be a cup in that hand.
Yeah. But I saw
he was during filming time. He posted on social media a few times being in the same area.
He was,
he in Bath. Yeah,
yes.
Like there was a couple of times he was in Bath, but other than that, I haven't seen.
I highly
and then I saw the pictures that Entertainment Weekly just posted. I've seen people theorize because Penelope Eloise's dress, it looks like tree ring. And
yes, it does. Yes.
Somebody said, oh, trees make paper and she's going to be writing letters and that's why her dress looks like that.
It's more the fact that he's a botanist.
Yes.
And somebody said because it looks like it's a tree and he's into plants and stuff. But I think it's a sign of maturity. She's gained a few rings finally. Like she's matured. Because she's in her growing season. This is her growing season before her season. So someone all plays in, I'm sure.
The sunlight.
Well, I mean, I think it all plays in because it's a tree and there's different theories behind. I mean, a tree, you gain rings with maturity.
Yes.
She's aging up. She's finally getting there. And I think Penelope's is going to give her enough of an education about things that she's going to be curious. And I think if you remember her book, like stuff that happens in her book and she's an instant screamer. I mean, come on. So I think they can play that out now because Penn, like she's the only girl in the town who has a true education when she goes into that situation because her bestie is going to tell her everything, except for the fact of, it's her brother that she's doing it with.
Well, she also bribed, doesn't it say in To Sir Philip with Love that her and Francesca bribed the maids to tell them what happens between them? Yeah.
Which is so funny because I can imagine
she's gonna know.
I can imagine Hyacinth doing that more than anyone else.
Oh yes.
And we might still see that. That might be a season 4 thing.
It could be, but Hyacinth already finds out because in her book I think it mentions that she finds out because of her siblings.
Yes,
like her sisters tell her.
Yeah.
Because their mother didn't. That's
because
how
Hyacinth would ask the questions, whereas like Daphne,
my mom didn't tell me jack. Okay?
But Daphne also wouldn't really ask.
I told my sister about puberty stuff. My mom didn't. It happened to me. I explained it to her. I had to answer her questions, but she ended up losing her virginity first, so she told me.
I had my friends tell me stuff.
Sisters.
I have all older boy cousins. Like my entire family is just boys, and boys have no filter, unlike girls. So they just said and did whatever in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
No, I had all my
from
friends.
A boy, I'd have been scared.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the other things that we are hoping to see in season 4, so let's talk about some things that we're hoping. One of them is the Love Shack. So I'm not sure if I'm sure you would have noticed this because come on, you're the queen of it all, is the fact that Anthony's love shack with Sienna is the same as what he moves into with Penelope. And so now we've dubbed it the Bridgerton Love Shack. And I'm like,
we want to see Benedict in there.
Yes.
I feel like it's gonna happen, like, but I'm like curious because like they did talk about how Benedict is going to be exploring that new side of him that he's uncovered.
Yes.
And so I'm like, how long are we going to be exploring that? And is this going to be purely a Benedict and Sophie story? Or are they going to surprise us in some other aspect? I'm just not sure.
They like a love triangle.
God, do they love a love triangle?
Well,
I'm kind of over
the new photos that we saw. They specifically said that they are going to have what is her name? Araminta's oldest.
Rosamund.
Rosamund, thank you, Rosamund, who is like 100. And might I just say, as you were also a girl who grew up with Bridgerton and is close enough in age to Cho Chang, that I am
Harry Potter.
Aghast.
Yes, no.
Aghast at the fact that they are having her to be a parent to teenagers. My son is 4 years old this week. 4. I don't have teenagers. I'm not old enough to have teenagers. That is horrendous.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the like thought process because I'm pretty sure Katie
She's 37.
Long is
37.
Yeah, she's the same age, close to the same age as Luke Thompson.
Yes.
So I'm like curious how
Nicola Coughlan,
yeah.
she's 38 or 39 now. Like,
I think to me, I think it's like the like what I love so much about Bridgerton is that it is showing Hollywood that you shouldn't have ageism. That like
true.
It like this is like you can play any age if you are a good enough actor for that role and you look the part, you know? So I'm also very curious.
Or makeup can help you look
or
the
makeup
part
can
too.
help.
She does look very mature. Like not old, but mature.
Yeah, because look at Lord Danbury. Like the makeup process that he went through. Oh my gosh.
It was a choice.
Not only had to make him old, they had to make him ugly.
Yes. Which was a rough feat.
I know. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's Bridgerton is breaking down so many different barriers beyond like just like giving us representation in terms of like BIPOC characters.
Yeah. But the fact that we saw the sisters that they're not Lee. Are they Lee? They are Lee.
Yeah, they're Lee. They're Lee, and she's Gunn.
Yes. The fact that why give us 3 different names? Melt my brain.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have the sisters sitting in the Bridgerton drawing, I love Hyacinth. Like her and Eloise cannot hide a feeling to save their life. It is all over their face. Like we don't know what to do with you here. Please leave our space.
Yeah.
We just want to go back to finding out the Ton gossip, reading out books.
I saw somebody was like, Eloise looks like she's about to school them, like she's ready to pop and say something.
Yes.
And Hyacinth is looking like, is this really what being out like I don't to this?
If this was the vibe, I'm gonna go back to being a kid now, thanks.
Yeah, no, and I feel like Hyacinth kind of needs a little bit more of that because she's every season she's like, I'm ready to be a part of it. I can't wait. Should I wear this feather? Do you think I look good? And I think her sitting with other Debs and seeing how
what they have to do,
and also like the conversations that they have. So like with like Eloise will be like, oh, you don't want to do this essentially, and she's like, no, but I do.
I don't think Hyacinth is excited to find a husband. I think she's just excited to be out where the gossip is.
Oh, 1,000%. But she doesn't realize that the gossip doesn't come from the debutantes. It comes with you hiding in the shadows and just being like able to listen. But she's a Bridgerton, so she's never ever going to be able to do that, which is kind of interesting in terms of if you think about like her book, because she does find a way to kind of go unseen, especially at night with Gareth.
Well, even in Colin and Penelope's book, Penelope is now a spinster in the book, and she uses Felicity and Hyacinth to gather gossip for her.
So I'm actually hoping that they're going to bring in Felicity as a cousin. And I know they already have Marina, but I'm like, we need Felicity. So I hope they're going to bring her in as a Featherington cousin so that we still get that kind of back and forth between them.
Justice for Felicity.
I know, like that whole let me get my watercolors.
Hyacinth needs a best friend.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Hyacinth needs a friend. Like, come on.
I love because Eloise's face is kind of very similar to when she's like trying to do the hard yards and like okay, I'll listen to this debutante. No, I can't tolerate them. Maybe I'll try over here. No, I don't like you either. Like, I just want Penelope. There's no one else like her.
Yeah, I agree.
I love their friendship. Like, even though Eloise has made some real choice decisions in the last season, she had maturing to do, and they always do this. They always give us, like, Anthony season 1 was probably like so hated, and then season 2 less hated, but then season 3 has been his redemption arc. He is now Anthony, my wife Bridgerton, and now we love him.
Yeah. I mean, I loved him in season 2, but I think that's what's so interesting is that, like, people who haven't been with the fandom for a long time or who just jump in.
Yes.
So, like, I remember when Anthony was absolutely hated, and then I remember his story happened, and then it was like Colin that has been hated, and everybody was just like, oh, Colin, I can't stand him. And now he's loved. And because of what he said about Penelope. I know, I know.
Again, that's my theory too. One whole sentence, and Colin he's a vibes guy. He feels the vibe. He knows they're not safe, and he was protecting himself. He was protecting Penelope, and he was protecting what he didn't know they were now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell Fife shit.
Yeah.
Fife would not know the real me ever.
Yeah. I want more. I love a good villain.
Yes.
Like, and I as much as I know they wanted to give Cressida more of a humane side this season, I kind of wish they had just stuck with the source material and have...
I think that they phased her out because we have Araminta coming in, and Rosamund has to be that villain.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that they should have made her the true villain in season 3. Like, she was still single. Like, make her marry the old dude and, like, have her be bitter.
And him die off. And
like, give us that storyline that would have been perfect, and Eloise could have just been, I don't know, wandering around lost, but they had to change it up in some aspect, which I understand for TV, but, like,
I'm still gonna complain about it.
Yes, I love a true villain to where, like, when they do something and then there's, like, something happens to them, it's like sweet victory. Not like
Umbridge, yes.
Yes.
Not like, oh, Maleficent, we're gonna get her backstory, and I'm like, just make her pure evil and it's okay.
Well, like, I haven't watched it, but apparently Cruella was amazing, and they were like, I didn't think that I could ever like Cruella, but now we get it.
Cruella was really good.
Cruella was a good film, yeah. But I think in that one, they also made her like a true villain in her origin story.
Yeah.
I feel.
I haven't watched it, so I don't know.
It's been a while.
She was a true villain, but they showed you how she got there.
Yeah.
Like, people, and just because we can understand how somebody got there doesn't mean they're not still a villain.
Yeah.
And I think with Bridgerton, though, like, they really like the morally gray. Like, it's all just humanity. We're human, and there's no real villain. Everybody's just doing what they need to do to survive out there in the world,
Yeah.
So it's more of a, not so much villainry as it is like, to get what I need here, I'm going to end up hurting.
Right.
And that's bad, but it's not even.
Yeah. Well, the ends justify the means, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes. And speaking of ends justifying means, Patty, do you want to talk a little bit about our little Snoopy Queen reading her lover boy's journal? Because Patty has actually decoded those journals.
That's my only claim to fame. Somebody shared me on Reddit.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I was pausing and reading some of them just recently. So
okay, so
they are decoded.
I have spent $150
on magnifying glasses.
Magnifiers.
Amazing. Oh, that's amazing.
So that we could read these, and then she compared texts from ones that we had seen to, like, get the handwriting style to see if we could.
I followed the shape of the writing to get, and I think that, like, on episode 2, where she reads the first page, I continued reading, and it's basically like what he knows about women. He's learning how to physically pleasure them. Like, it's still not relationship, okay. But at the end of it, it talks about him, not having that connection, feeling a want of home. And the very last sentence says, like, kind of like a wish, like, that he would come home. And, like, the very last line is, from her window watches. And I'd have...
So he's talking about
Presumably.
Like,
Penelope.
I think he knew. Yeah, I think he knew that she watched him from the window.
I mean, you can't not know. Like, your neighbors.
When he looks out for her, in episode 2, when she's in Whistledown,
and then he starts watching.
He's looking across. He's looking across. He's looking at their drawing room, because their drawing room is not on the first floor or second. So he doesn't look down. Like, he's not looking to see if she's coming out of the house. Bedroom is on the back of the house. So yeah, here. So I think he knew she always looked out the window, and I think he knew she was always looking for him, kind of. I don't think he thought she loved him, but I think he wanted to see her looking for him, because it's like the key to turning is tuning into my partner, and truly a word I couldn't figure out what I in torture, even surrounded by beautiful women or beautiful moments, but eager I am, something about his hands empty of company. So it's like he's eager to basically fill his hands with someone.
Well, he certainly has his hands full with Penelope.
Well, we see them hold hands a lot.
I was just saying, like, throughout the seasons, he's always grabbing for her hand. Like, this man knows no bounds in terms of, like, you had Daphne and Simon who were like, oh my God, we can barely touch, and they hold hands for a briefest moments. Then you had Kate and Anthony who are like, oh my God, we can't touch at all. And then you have Colin being like, come here, Pen, come here, Pen, and just
grabbing her arm,
like grabbing always. For her all the time, and without gloves sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, he grabbed her arm when she came out to tell him about Marina. He grabbed her arm, grabbed her hand in season 2. But I think he understood, like, she's always, like, her hand, whatever. He's felt the connection when he's touched her, when his hand is no longer empty with her. And the last line, it took me a long time, but I settled on, like, it makes sense. From her window watches, like, he's looking for her. And then the one I'm trying to decode now is not as neatly written. It's very quickly written. All the words are scrunched together. But I kind of see it as he wants to talk about Penn, but he can't, because it's a diary. And what if someone else picks it up and they're not together, and, somebody reads it and then he'd be embarrassed. But it's talking about the streets of Paris and how beautiful Paris is, and how the lights create a hue and everything is yellow.
Yes.
And things like that. So, and then he's talking later about kind of like courting. I'd have to pull out and see what I have, but it's basically like, I think he's wanting to talk about Penn, but he's using an allegory to be able to talk about her, so it's still private to him, in case anybody opened it and read it.
Which is interesting, because I had mentioned in a previous series, like 2 years ago or whatever, I can't remember when, but what if he did do that? Like, what if he did in his writings write about a lot of things that are yellow, because they always remind him, oh, I know what it was. I was saying, like, how cool would it be if we got to see flashback scenes of him on his travels, and then he saw yellow things, and it always reminded him of Penelope, which is another, like, I love season 3, but one of my biggest, like, hitches with it is we didn't get enough of Colin's story. And I feel like that is what a lot of people feel was missing. But, like, you're also dealing with 2 characters who have been up with us for 2 previous seasons. And so to unpack both of them in the span of 8 episodes, along with other side stories that
we always say we wanted 10. We need 10 episodes.
We needed 10 episodes.
Because I recently rewatched episodes 5 through 8, and
I have not.
I liked it. I found them super intriguing.
I've come to love it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was so much noise happening when those were released that I don't feel like I really processed how I felt about them. But as I watched them, I was like, no, this is real. I was like brought in. I was laughing. I was like, and like crying and the whole thing. But I do believe that I wanted more of Colin. And I realized, because like a lot of people were like, there's not a lot of Colin. I didn't realize how much, because we were like, we didn't get Ryder Colin.
Yes.
There's a lot of Ryder Colin in 5 through 8, which I was like surprised with my rewatch. And I'm like, why didn't you notice this before, Aynsley? But there was a lot of him writing, and like what I thought was Benedict popping up so many times, I was like, actually that didn't feel as much as it did when I first watched it.
Yeah. And so shocking, I think, the first time
I think
around.
So, because I was like, God damn, they're still going, but okay.
But speaking of that, that's what I want in season 4.
He's an endurance king.
So many times, because Benedict was the passage of time. Like when they say, oh, I'm going to go see Cressida tomorrow and talk to her, and then we have Benedict in the bedroom, that threesome going on. And then all of a sudden Colin is in the drawing room with Cressida. So I want to see Pollen be the passage of time, because we have a 2-year time jump. So I want to see them at it at the desk, both of them writing and then going, oh, nope, it's time for a tryst. And them, getting preggers with another kid. Like, I want them to be the passage of time, because Benedict was their clock.
Yeah, no, I do think 3. I don't know if you've ever seen the film Alex and Emma, but there's a scene where Alex is propped up and Emma's like in between his legs, and they're both writing his book. And I was hoping for like a scene similar to that in this season, just because they're both writers, and also just because it's cute, and that's a rom-com.
So it's in my notes as one of my biggest wishes for season 4 is to get Penelope and Colin writing a book together. So I made a TikTok about this, and it's season 3 he writes Travels with Myself. I want season 4 him to write a book with Penelope, Travels with My Wife.
Oh, I think that would be perfect. I absolutely think that would be perfect,
because they changed the name of his books.
Oh yeah.
And going back to the yellow thing, this is how much we dig into stuff. I say I'm, Regency romance enthusiast, but I'm the one who kind of researches the Regency stuff.
Yes.
And the wedding.
Except toileting.
Yeah, except toileting. That was all Tosh. But
it's gross.
That was it created my most favorite moment of our podcast ever, so that's okay. We laughed so hard I was crying. But for the wedding, we know that the wedding breakfast was Portia planning that, and everyone is assuming that the wedding was planned also by Portia, because nowadays the bride and the bride's family planned the wedding. But back then, actually, the church wedding was never that elaborate. The church wedding was planned by the groom and the groom's family. So, because they would normally just go to the church and say, we want to get married on this day. And church services or marriages would occur in like a 2-hour time span before services, like before mass or whatever, because they had church services every day. So Colin would have gone to the church and he would have said, I want to marry on this date. That's where they get the date to start announcing the bands, because they have to do that for 3 weeks. And then the 4th week they get married. So he would have said, I want to get married on this date, so the bands can on this date. And then he would have said, this is the bride. We want to do it at this time. But they wouldn't necessarily decorate the church or anything. But that church was decorated in blues and yellows. The song that played was Yellow. I mean, I know that's modern, but he would have picked that, Yellow. Yeah. And in fact, we know that Luke Newton suggested Yellow. Actually,
well, that's a huge fan one. I mean, people were pulling for Yellows for 2 years.
So really that gives us backstory into Colin, which we already said, like his blanket is yellow and on his bed, his bedspread's yellow, stuff like that. But that is the fact that wedding would have been planned by Colin. And it is like, I mean, she comes out, they even have a curtain that opens for her. She comes out like a star walking onto a stage. Like, he planned all that for her. I think he was doing that.
I think I figured out the Taylor Swift.
She could be seen finally.
I think I figured out the Taylor Swift song for season 4, by the way. I can't remember if I've even shared this with you yet, but I think I figured it out.
I think you did, yeah.
I think I changed my mind.
Oh, well, so you would. You're a Taylor Swift fan.
I have been a Taylor Swift fan since I was, I think, 15 or 16 years old. So I'm like 17 years into this business.
Swiftie.
Massive Swiftie. And I'm pretty sure the song is going to be Enchanted. I was enchanted to meet you.
Everyone's pulling for that one. So there's been like...
And Enchanted, that would fit the Midsummer Night's Dream theme for the Masquerade Ball, yeah.
Yeah, so that's been their song. Because like I remember... So Joseph Morgan Orchestra... They not last year but the year before, they put together a piece that was an orchestral version of Enchanted. And I remember I already knew Enchanted is what a ton of Benefis had wanted for Benedict and Sophie.
Really? I haven't heard any of this. This was, I literally went when Jess Brownell said we're going to have a Taylor Swift song, of course, I went through all of her music and read all the lyrics until I was like, this is the one.
Yeah, so Benefis agree, because that's the song that's like very much a Cinderella story vibes and everything. And so I remember the Joseph Morgan orchestral version, and that one's like probably the most popular version right now of that. I don't know if Dua Oma has a version, or if Vitamin String Quartet or Midnight String Quartet has a version. But I do know the Joseph Morgan orchestral version has been pretty popular.
No, that's Lover. Because Patty got me a Taylor Swift cover from Vitamin String Quartet when she went to the Bridgerton by Candlelight last year.
Oh,
and
yes.
She got me a Taylor Swift cover of them, but it's from Lover.
They weren't Bridgerton by Candlelight. It was just Vitamin String.
Vitamin String Quartet.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. I listened to, I got to see them when they came to Nashville. So, and I talked to them and was like, have you guys submitted your song for tonight? And for season 4. And they're like, yes, we're not the ones that do that, but it has been submitted. And I was like, was it any of the songs that you played tonight? And it wasn't. So that was able to eliminate those ones. The set list from this past tour, you could eliminate all those, which I forget what songs were on there, but there were a few songs on that I was like, oh, this would be good for season 4 and this would be good. But since none of them were submitted, I was like, gotta kick those out of them. But my biggest one, not necessarily Taylor Swift, but I do think a Beatles song should be a part of the season. And that's been my latest theory.
Because we got a K-pop song last season, I was like, but it was a terrible K-pop. It was terrible.
Well, I thought it was good. I just felt like, so here's my other shtick with season. I felt like the songs that were chosen, we didn't get enough time with them.
Yes.
So
they were
Thunder was so quick.
Was so quick.
You miss it.
Lights, I believe, was also really quick.
Yes.
There was a few that were just so quick that we didn't get time with them. And I do wonder if it's because we had a long time with Yellow. I think they
cut the scenes shorter.
Yeah, I just feel like
Snow on the Beach, we know part of that.
Yeah, Snow on the Beach. There were some songs that I feel like were very expensive, and so they got a longer spotlight versus the ones that were more like blips.
Yeah.
Because God, I can't even imagine how much the Taylor Swift and Ariana Grande ones.
And I think they have a licensing deal with Taylor Swift, because Candlelight Bridgerton did not play any Taylor Swift music.
Yes.
But Vitamin String and all them, they have a whole album of Taylor Swift. So I think they licensed through Vitamin String and these other people.
Did you do the Bridgerton by Candlelight?
I did the Bridgerton by Candlelight. I'm trying to remember.
No, it's the same set list.
There was no Taylor Swift.
And there's no Taylor.
Well, I just know that Candlelight not Bridgerton does a Taylor Swift.
Yeah, they do a whole Taylor Swift.
Interesting.
So that's where I'm like,
but that's what I'm saying. I think affiliated with Bridgerton, I think Taylor Swift has a thing with Vitamin String or something to where Bridgerton can't use her music.
Oh, okay. I'm curious because
unless it's submitted by them or maybe another, because I think almost every Taylor Swift song made in Vitamin String, hasn't it?
Duomo was Wildest Dreams.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I'm sure there's nothing in the world, the way Taylor Swift runs her business, that she doesn't have fingers in that pie.
Oh, no. I mean, she definitely probably gets to say yes or no if it's going in Bridgerton. Yeah. 1000%.
She's probably like, hey, you give me the season before it comes out, and I'll let you use my music.
If she
my biggest song I hated, and it's not that I don't like Billie Eilish, I did not like
we liked how it sounded. Ever. We just didn't like how it
the lyrics.
The vibe it gave.
It's like leaving a narcissistic relationship, and neither Penelope or Colin are narcissists, and they didn't make each other miserable either.
Don't you come for my girl.
I don't know. I loved it because I freaked out because that was one of my first not one of my first edits, but it was an edit I did, and I was surprised that it got used. The song got used. But I liked it because I personally wanted Colin to suffer a little bit more. People were like, Colin doesn't need to suffer, and I'm like, just a little bit.
Well, if you believe he's loved her from the beginning and thought he couldn't have her, he suffered just as long as she.
That's true, but also I don't know. So I
think he needed to suffer for not speaking up because the guy's supposed to.
Yeah. So I really liked that song, and I love how it and he turns when it hits.
Oh, I like the dance and I like the song.
Yeah.
I like the song and how it plays in the scene orchestrally. But once you look at the lyrics and stuff, I just didn't feel like that song lyrically fit.
But
we agreed. We did a music episode and we agreed that the melody of it works really well. The dance is beautiful.
Well, same as the K-pop.
But when you look at
when you look at the lyrics, K-pop songs to choose from, and if you look at the lyrics,
I forget which one
the BTS,
Dynamite.
Dynamite.
Dynamite. So that one,
The lyrics are so messy.
I forget what Dynamite is about.
So
but
we think it's because they talk about a diamond and she's watching Benedict dance. And I think if she could have made a man a diamond, she would have picked Benedict.
Oh, the Queen? Yes.
Yeah.
The Queen absolutely adores Benedict.
My theory is because he looks like young George.
He does.
I can see that. I am hoping that we get to see more of the Queen and Benedict together.
They toured. They did press tour together and they've never had a scene together. So I think that's a nod and a wink wink to season 4.
Well, and also there's been behind the scenes interviews with Luke Thompson and Golda Rosheville, from season 2. So I really think that would be awesome because they have great chemistry together. So
they do.
Yeah. I just want because I think with his forbidden love or whatever, if the Queen has to play into it because she's still alive, because she's not supposed to be. I think that with the themes of Benedict and his polyamory, we're going to find out about Brimsley. I think Reynolds is going to make an appearance, and Brimsley's going to actually tell the Queen his.
I think that will be a spark for the sparkler, like the Brimsley Reynolds that will maybe sparked in this season.
Yes,
for the sparkler.
They have said that story is not finished and it will be returning, and I'm like, please, because if they make Brimsley dance on his own again, I think I might cry my little eyes out. That
scene,
me.
It's one of the best scenes ever, but it just breaks.
Yeah, Tom Verica in his eye is just chef's kiss.
I can't actually. I watched Queen Charlotte the first time, and then I read the book, and then I watched it again. And unless we start doing potting on that when we get up to it eventually, I'm like, I can't watch it because I sob. And it's not even like the cute little streak. It's like a.
And the second time around, I cried in the first episode. I messaged you.
I knew what was happening.
I'm bawling in the first episode.
That whole season to me is so special. I love Queen Charlotte Bridgerton's story.
It's probably my favorite. Honestly, I think
Shonda wrote most of it herself, just her and Julia Quinn.
It's untouchable perfection, that one. So the lyrics for the BTS song it reminds me so much of wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. It's shoes on, get up in the morn, cup of milk, let's rock and roll, King Kong, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Like, what are you doing?
Okay, think about it. That does kind of make sense for Benedict, especially as we're leading into his story, that like he is this guy who's like, we're just gonna get up, we're just gonna do what we do,
drink some
Rolling
milk.
Stone, drink some milk, like let's go, man. You know, like
go.
He is the partier, and so
he doesn't have a plan. I said he seeks fun. He runs away from the serious.
Yeah.
He wants nothing to do with serious. I think that's how, because we have a theory that all of the kids play out a form of trauma from their father dying in the show. So Benedict's he doesn't want to be serious. He wants fun because he doesn't know. I think they're going to play him out like he doesn't know if he might die young like his father. So he's trying to get all the fun in that he can. And he never thinks about a future. And like he's thinking about one now because all of his siblings are marrying off and he's more and more alone.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that he just always wants fun. And that song kind of plays it out. And it says the thing about the diamond, and Queen is just clocking him while he.
Patty said it would be amazing if she made Benedict the diamond of season 4.
That would be awesome.
Like, if she's like, I mean, she knows who Whistledown is. I get that. But if she could just throw out there, like, because now that she knows Penn and obviously they talk, like she could, you know, she's being influenced, but she could be like, I'm going to throw out a shocker and it's going to shock everyone and just make Benedict the diamond.
Yes.
Like not even a debutante. That would be awesome.
It would be a flip on everything.
It would be. I noticed something quite interesting as he goes to call on Lady Tilly for the first time. As he walks into her estate, right behind him, and this is at the exact same time that Lady Whistledown asks a riddle as he is walking in, like the subtitles for that is a riddle. Right behind him is a sphinx on the back wall. And I look because I love Greek mythology, and obviously I started with the Eros and Psyche thing, so I looked into all the mythology of it, and basically the Sphinx is to represent that the answers are always within us. And so I love that they ask a riddle, you know, about following the head or the heart right as he is walking into Lady Tilly. He was not following his head or his heart. It was definitely a different appendage he was following.
Yes.
But and then he goes into
it
the
is
next
a head
room.
and blood pumps there.
Well, technically.
A different kind of head.
He goes into the next room and there is a Pegasus, and Pegasus is all about like enlightening and lifting. And basically the symbolism was that Lady Telly basically gives him the freedom to experience other things, but ascend, but that eventually he's going to find his Sophie. And I'm like, come on, come back down to the realms of the real world, buddy. We can't live up with the gods.
I do. I don't know if I've posted this or not, but I did find where like I've wondered if is it Francesca's story is going to deal with a Greek story that has to do with there's this god and he is in love with this nymph. I don't remember the names. There's a painting that was just revealed like from
crap we just talked about.
You don't know what I'm talking about. I think I did post this but it's a painting in a story that Victor Ali or Ali shared, and it's a god who's in love with a nymph. She's rejected all these people and he disguises himself, and then his third disguise is of like this old woman, and he like tells her about like the benefits of marriage and like talks up himself as an old woman. And so when the old woman like goes away and he comes back as himself and proposes again, she says yes.
I don't know this one.
It's Narcissus, isn't it?
No, it's not Narcissus. Oh goodness. Let me see.
And there's Apollo and Daphne.
It's a minor. It's like a minor god.
Because basically, like as Patty's the one who does all the Regency stuff, I'm the one who I like zoom in on everything in the background and any of the Greek statues. I'm like, okay, this is what they represent, and I wonder if that plays in. This is Plato's statue. This is Socrates' statue, and like talk about all of those, and even the flowers. I'm like, okay, that flower represents friendship. Actually, I was the first person to post about the asparagus fern, which is what Lord Debling brings to Penelope. And the asparagus fern, I don't know if you know this, is an antidote, a natural antidote to a bee sting.
Oh.
Colin, our little bumblebee Bridgerton, he was bringing her the antidote to her crush on Colin.
That is hilarious.
And
okay, so it's for Tumnus and Pomona.
Oh, Pomona. Okay. I'm going to have to research that now.
So Victor Ali shared and then quickly took down a story. And in that is for Tumnus and Pomona of painting. I had to do a lot of like digging for this one. And I was like, oh, it could be like Francesca's story.
Mm-hmm.
But then some people are like, what if it's Eloise's story because she rejects a lot of people? And so like there's people like talking, is it Eloise's story or is it Francesca's story? But I was like, okay, but is this the story that's in reflection for one of them, just like Eros and Psyche?
Interesting. Oh, okay. That picture.
We gotta see Eloise actually reject a suitor.
Well, she has.
She rejected a dude on a dance floor.
Oh, okay.
I need to see her reject a proposal. She's
supposed
to reject 3 before she gets
her time. Yeah.
I'm really sad that we didn't get to see the cut scenes of her visiting Theo and realizing that he's now married and really happy, and like it all worked out for the best, and like she got the closure that she needed around him. And I do wonder whether they're going to put that into next season, seeing as it is already filmed.
I feel like they have to. I mean, I feel like it has to be happening for season 4, just because if we're going to lead into season 5, her being next, that will be like the perfect. It'll be just like when we saw Anthony throw away the Sienna pamphlet in season 2.
And I almost think that they pulled it because it was very reminiscent of Colin going to see Marina. And they're very similar in the fact that they feel responsible for something, they hurt someone, and they need to go fix it. So I wonder if it was pulled because it was very similar. But they would have put that in there. It'd have been like, see, Colin was not trying to get Marina to run away with.
I wonder whether
the people that say that just kill me. Like, how could you even think that? Colin grew up in a family that they drilled etiquette into your head. Like, he's not trying to get Marina to run away. He just wanted to make sure she was okay and she landed on her feet because he felt responsible.
I think they're going to have, because the siblings do tie into each other quite nicely. I think Marina's going to die, And then that is when Eloise is going to be like, okay, I need this closure surrounding Theo, and goes and sees him. Because obviously going to visit Sir Philip is going to give Penelope and Colin the closure that they needed. Penelope's going to be like, was this because of what I wrote about her and Whistledown, or I don't know. But maybe that is when Eloise then goes to Theo to get the closure.
It could be.
Well, and we see Colin go and do it after he starts writing the letters to Penelope, and he's kind of sparking feelings there. So I think when Eloise maybe when she starts writing to Philip and she's like interested and she's like, wait a minute, but my heart might still be over here. I need to go check that out. That would make sense.
Eloise living the original long distance relationship, pen pal.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Like, I have plenty of cousins over here if you're ever interested.
I mean, who knows? Maybe my parents would be very happy if this was a way for them to get back to New Zealand.
I mean,
yeah,
they're
Greeks though.
Greek Samoan. That is going to be some gorgeous babies.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, why have I? Actually, my best friend, I for years was like trying to get it to line up that my cousin and her were single at the same time, so I could finally get them married off to each other, but it just never lined up. And I'm like, gosh dang it, guys! Like, why you go and foil my plans? Like, I am the matchmaking mama.
Listen, I understand. I'm better as a matchmaking mama than I am matchmaking myself. So.
Bridget, I can help anyone else.
I think we set ourselves up. And you know what? My dad even complained about this when I was a kid. Like, some fathers complain that their kids are out drinking and dating boys and all the rest of it. My dad complained that I lived my life in books. He was like, you're giving yourself unrealistic expectations of what men are like. And I'm like, I don't know. Harry Potter's a pretty realistic expectation. Like, Harry and Ron as teenage boys.
Harry and Ron are what men are like. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my mom always.
But you got to remember, it doesn't matter how old they are. They could be 49 and they're still Harry and Ron.
Yeah,
it's true. It's so true.
Just a little.
I'm not calling anyone out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and then speaking of Lord of the Rings fandom, like the person that I'm in a situationship with, I try not to say his name. I screwed up a couple episodes ago, but because it isn't a defined thing. We call him Smaug because he's very into, like, he needed financial security in his life to feel secure. So I imagine him just sitting on a pile of treasure.
That does fit. That fits perfectly.
Because he's very responsible and he's very frugal, and he hoards his money. He doesn't spend it. He hoards it. So yeah, that is a fandom we have reference as well.
Yeah,
I love it.
I think one of the things of why we started this podcast is a lot of the times when people are really into things, and I don't know why, but like young generation really like to pick on us for the fact that we like things too much.
We're analytical.
They're like, it's such a millennial thing to love Disney, to love Harry Potter. And I'm like, I'm sorry that I like things so much. You guys are just dead inside, okay? But I'm
Gen X, and Gen X we were adults when we were children. Yeah. So we're not afraid to love the things we love anymore, because I mean, we were the stinking dwarves in Snow White. Hi ho, off to work we go. Like, I mean, my childhood was I started working for my dad at a very young age. Anytime I was at his work, I wasn't allowed to eat breakfast unless I went and did a couple loads of dishes in the dish. We did chores early. I was babysitting by 9-10 years old. Like, so now that we're able to control our own lives, we have our special interests and we celebrate them and love them.
Yeah, no,
we are not ashamed anymore.
I've always been a fangirl. I mean, that's just who I've been. I mean, I was huge into Celtic Thunder. I wanted to know as much about things as possible. And so I think being curious about the world and trying to dive into something, that's okay. And I feel like with Bridgerton, they give us so much to digest. You know, it's not just the story itself. It's not just the Easter eggs, but there's like the symbolism between the clothing, the flowers that are being used, the way they researched the Regency era and incorporated it, and then also like the modern parts of it. So like, I think Bridgerton created this realm. I feel like it's a realm now. This world
we
in
call
which
it a verse. It's the Bridgerverse.
The Bridgerverse, yes. Yeah. They created this Bridgerverse in where we can like live and exist and continuously talk about it. And we and as fans too, like we talk about things that they haven't even thought about, you know? There's obviously things that like they've put in there and they're like, oh, that's not what I really meant, but like love that that's like being picked up.
Like the fact that Lady Whistledown is Pen's like almost like a literal translation, and Julia Quinn's like, that wasn't intentional.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like there's just so many things that like I think artists do that. Like Shonda Rhimes has recently come out with an interview because she is celebrating 20 years of TV. And she talks about how she makes this art, she puts it out into the world, and she lets it be interpreted the way people want to interpret it.
Yes.
And I think, you know, that's a healthy way as an artist. I don't think I could do that, which is why I'm not an artist. But because I'll be like, no, that's not what I meant. And then like, but people are going to interpret things they want the way they want to.
But that's the beauty of art though. Like as somebody, I was a theater major, and understanding that when a person writes a script, they pretty much only write dialogue. There's very little, a good script should have very little descriptive surround, thought process, because you want your actor to analyze the words and then collaborate about the vision for the show, the movie, the play, whatever, and then they are creating and analyzing that character, and they're making that character their own, and then all of these creatives come together with costume and light and stuff, and they create this bigger work of art that we then watch, and everybody has their own perspective. Yes. That's why art is, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Art is for the viewer. It's not, the artists that struggle are the ones that go, that's not what that means at all, right? They're trying to elicit an emotion, a vision. But the more people that can look at something and relate it to their lives is what I love so much about 3, because I can sit here and tell you how I relate to Colin so much. And like, I'm in Colin's brain because my brain is very similar. He lives inside of his head. That's why there's not a lot of Colin dialogue. You have to watch his face. Well, and you have to be great at analyzing micro expressions. But tomorrow I can sit here and tell you, because I never got to talk about my favorite character, and it is Penelope. And there's a lot of reasons there too, because she took a rough situation. She lived through a lot of trauma in her childhood and the kind of parents she had, and she never lost her light. I always say she is joy, she is light, she is ultimate forgiveness. The second somebody says, I'm sorry to Pen, she's over it. Like she doesn't, and that's what I love about her being the antithesis to both Eloise and Colin, because they hold a grudge for like 9 million years. Colin is still mad at Anthony 2 years later, and you can see it. He's so antagonistic with him. But like, even when they have that conversation about being mad at Pen, and he's like, so do you think you can forgive her? And she's like, I want to. Like she wants to, but she hasn't yet. Like they just hold a grudge forever. But Pen is laughing with her, like, were you just doing that to hurt me? And she goes, well, maybe there's a little bit of pettiness. And she's like, oh yeah, I figured. Like she just laughs it off. And she does the same with Colin. Like Colin's like, please, can I get in the carriage? He's like, or he comes to apologize to her, and he's like, I'm so sorry, that's not the man who I am anymore. And she's like, okay. Like she's just over it so fast. And I love that with everything that has happened to her, she still holds so much empathy for others. She's still light, she's joy. And that's what I love so much about Bridgerton. Like the fact that it's a different lead every year, that everybody can talk about it. Everybody can talk about it because everybody can see themselves. And literally with what they're doing with diversity, everyone can see themselves now.
Yeah. And I think one of the things about Luke Newton is, yes, Nicola got a lot more lines than him, and they got a lot more focus on Nicola this season and about her character development, her family backstory and everything. And I know how you talked about, Aynsley, how it's hard because we're like, well, we did get to see them in season 1 and 2, and I wanted so much more from Colin in season 3, but not from Luke Newton. Luke Newton, for the lines that he was given,
he turned a snack into a meal.
He absolutely ate that up, because most of what we have analyzed about Colin's feelings for Penelope are not from the words that he is saying at all, but from all those tiny micro expressions, that the hands, like the glances, the looks that he gives. And that carriage scene, we literally made 2 2-hour episodes breaking down the carriage scene.
And we didn't even talk about everything.
and breaking down those micro expressions of his, because he has a masterclass in micro expression.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I say I want more from Colin, I wanted more story. I don't need more.
They turned Colin Bridgerton's book into Penelope Featherington's season.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it is called Colin and Penelope's story on the cover, which I know Julia Quinn has said that wasn't her intention by any means.
Yeah. No, they added Penelope in later editions because so many people loved Penelope. I read up on that for that reason. Like, why is this the only book that says Colin and Penelope?
Right.
When it first came out, it was Colin Bridgerton's story, but so many people related to Penn and loved Penn so much. Penn's my girl. Penn's awesome. Yeah. That they then, when they reprinted it, because it was selling so fast, they put Colin and Penelope's story.
But who is this? Because this is not Nicola Coughlan. This is one of my biggest pet peeves. This is one of the most beautiful women on this planet, and you're going to do her dirty?
Woman. Yeah.
Like, that's not my girl. My girl is way prettier.
And the fact that bothers me too, that someone else pointed this out. It's not me. So throwing it out somewhere on the interwebs, somebody else said this, not Patty. The fact that every other cover is the two leads standing together. They are in partnership, but in Colin and Penelope's book, he's standing behind her and she's in front.
Yeah. I don't know what the choices were for there, but I did like that Nicola showed the original photo onto her Instagram.
Yes.
Well, and my whole thing with Jess Brownell is she openly admitted she didn't know how to write Colin. She said it in her interview, and she struggled with writing Colin, and it showed.
Well, I just don't know.
When you struggle with something,
you got like other writers though there too.
You have other writers. You find a writer when you're interviewing too. You find somebody who does relate to that character, who does like, we need more content for this character. Let's find somebody that we're going to talk with them and see what their view of Colin is. And I think that Penelope is definitely a Shonda Land character. Like Shonda Land has created a Penelope in like every iteration of every show she's ever done. Yeah.
Yeah. She's the strong female lead that
morally gray. Yeah. So I think that Colin's character was going to struggle in the season. They finally got to dig into the meat of Penelope because that's what Shonda's.
Yeah.
She loves Penelope.
I know there's more to Colin, and I had always envisioned us getting to see some of his travels at least, like maybe going on this was such a huge opportunity to go onto a big Regency ship, to have that huge, like, yes, was the air balloon scene a huge stunt performance? Sure, depending on how fast you want to throw that air balloon. But we've
already talked about that balloon.
We have big feels about that.
But the opportunity to have a huge ship and to have like that moment with like pirates and like all that would have been
show him
amazing.
Working.
Yeah.
Oh, like we know he worked on a ship because of how he handled the balloon, but to actually see him working on a ship would have been great.
Yeah.
But I've always said with the books, I did not like Colin until Eloise's book, and then I went back and read Romancing Mr. Bridgerton again. So I'm hoping they do the same thing with Colin in the show, that as a husband, we see true, authentic Colin, and we get to see his motivations and him be completely, for once, openly himself.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like we saw, not only did he, like, I rewatched a little bit of season 2, and like you saw relaxed Colin, and then he comes back in season 3 and he's this uptight, which I rewatching 5 through 8 again from season 3, and him being mad at her for what she wrote about him in the first episode. I was like, I would look at him and be like, yeah, I wrote what I wrote because you were acting like a fucking idiot.
Yes.
Like you weren't yourself.
But they rewrote history so much to make it play out so he could be so mad, because they wanted to have her reveal after the engagement. Because the Modise scene, like, I've actually rewrote that. I posted it to the Bridgerton pages where I rewrote that scene, because when he says, and what about Miss Thompson? And you hear her whisper, and he's like, you should have told me to my face. And she's like, I know. I would have been like, I did.
That's another thing. Yeah, I literally stood there and I was like, no, she fucking did. You
like, are you listening?
Like,
I say to my husband,
constantly rewriting history, because
I say to my husband,
can help her find a husband. And then later she's like, I don't even know why I asked. You didn't, Penn. He threw himself at you.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot that I was going to do this because I was gonna post that scene and be like, 2 years ago, and like literally be like, because like I was sitting there rewatching this. I forget what day it was, but it was this week because my sister was like, "Are you rewatching season 3 again?" And I'm like,
yes.
"Yeah."
And so, as you do.
And so I was like sitting there being like, she fucking did. She stood in at your engagement dinner with the Featheringtons and was like, I have to tell you something about Marina. And you were like, no, Penn, I don't want to hear it. And then
you're so good, Penn. You're so good.
I'm just no,
you're too good.
I just want to be like, yeah. I honestly, this is why I say that Colin, as much as I love him and as much as I like adore him, should have suffered because, and I call him a dim-witted dolt with love because I don't think he is, which is why I call him that, because I think he is smart. He's just stupid sometimes.
He's a stupid smart person.
Yes, like
and I think we know from season 1, like looking at the Bible for me, IMDb, when you look at the writers, there was a writer's room and they kind of went away from that. That's the whole reason we had the Writers Guild strike, because streaming services who were doing originals, especially Netflix, were doing AI generated content, and they were bringing in a writer as a project writer, not for a season, not contracting them for a season where they had to pay them the most money. They were just bringing them in to clean up a script that they let AI write. And season 3 finished filming at the end of February 2023. The letter was sent from the Writers Guild 2 weeks later, and then the strike occurred at the beginning of May. So I think that season 3 plays into all of that. And I think a lot of season 3 was AI written. I think that's why they did some rewrites shoots after the Writers Guild finished, because you can only have a percentage be written by AI, and it's a very small. And I think that plays into it. And I hope that now, I kind of hope season 4, I know we have different writers per episode, like a head writer, but I hope they go back to the room.
You know what?
Jess Brownell kind of talked about it.
The three of us, come on, we are available for writing. We could write the heck out of that season.
I mean, I've had people ask me if I've written before and wanting me, and I'm like, I'm more than willing to write whatever you want me to write. I'm even willing to just read a script and be like, put notes and be like, this is not,
we need to be the continuity.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would much rather be a continuity person. I would much rather watch an episode and be like, that shouldn't be there. You've got a Starbucks cup there. You need to fix that. Like, because I remember I watched Nobody Wants This.
Yes.
Let me tell you, my biggest pet peeve in that entire show, I freaking love that show. That's like a comfort show for me. Yeah. But my biggest pet peeve in that show is when they're getting their drinks as like after she goes to the synagogue and they go after he's like preached and they're going to get drinks with her sister and his brother, you hear ice clinking. There's no ice in those margarita cups.
No.
And you hear it. Then you see that in one scene, his cup is filled to here. They're still talking. His cup is down to here. Then you see him again, and the cup is up here. He has not once said that he's gone back to the bar for another drink. He has not once left or anything from it. And I'm sitting there being like, this is the dumbest thing to get annoyed with. But the ice clinking is really distracting for me.
Friends.
And I need it to not.
Friends and Gilmore Girls, I would get so... Gilmore Girls especially, they were such coffee addicts. But they would put the cup down, and it was not audibly empty every single time, and I would get so angry at it.
Oh, and I hate watching, like, they always use those to-go cups in every TV show. And there's not an actor ever that has made me believe that they were drinking anything out of that cup.
Yes.
Whereas one TV series, I can't remember which one it was, but they ended up putting I think in one of the later seasons of Gilmore Girls, they started putting Coca-Cola or something in because they obviously couldn't have Alexa Liddell at such a young age drinking just straight up coffee all day long.
Well, you also see, so with Bridgerton season 3, the hairpiece, Penelope's hairpiece in episode 1.
She threw it and lost
And she threw it, but somehow went back on her head when she's riding Lady Whistledown.
Yes.
Or something. I think that's what it was. And I was like,
yes.
Continuity.
And we just recorded an episode with the Queen's Ballet. And I talked about it, and I'm glad I'm saying it now. I talked about a continuity error there, and we never got to it because tangents, as we do. And so there's the part like when the dance is over and they pan up and the Queen is in her box and everybody's clapping. Danbury and Alice are not there. A lady in waiting is sitting in the chair, and there's this red like stand of some sort that I think they were blocking it. But Adwa, Ando, and whatever Alice is really
Emma Naomi. Yeah,
Emma Naomi. I think they were not present at the time. And so they put the lady in waiting in the chair because that's where Danbury would have been. And they put that red thing there for where Alice was going to stand. But it was pretty symmetrical looking. So I think in editing, they used that for the applause. But then they come back to them talking and they're right back there. So it's like they didn't step out to go to the bathroom. Like that was such a continuity error. And I was like, and then at the engagement party, Danbury and Violet are talking downstairs, and then like all of a sudden they're up on the second floor landing.
I could fly.
I mean, we have had to run up the stairs, and Adwa Lady Danbury has bad knees.
You're forgetting. She's McGonagall. She just apparated and disapparated where she needed to be.
And they acted like Violet wasn't just talking to her downstairs. Like she walks up to her. Right. Like they were just in a group talking. Come on, editing. But they did they had 2 very new editors. That's something we talked about. Like, I love that Shonda always brings in new people to give them experience and stuff. But you really need a solid person on the back end going, hey, this doesn't work.
I'm also so nerdy to the point that I actually researched how long it takes to get all the places that Colin went, and there is not a chance in hell that he did the tour that he said he did and made it back. I'm like, unless you got a flying magic carpet, little lover boy, because
he was in the epilogue of season 2, which means where he went for 10 months between season 1 and season 2.
Yes.
He was only gone for 4 months. And the costume people said that, and we know with ships, he'd have to be on that ship for 6 weeks. And he claimed to go to 17 cities. It's impossible. We joke all the time. Bridgerton has their own timing.
Yeah. I see what I love. I know a lot of people have like beef with like Bridgerton and like the costuming and it being over the top and so but I personally kind of love it just because like to me it is fantasy. It is a fairy tale. And so like to see the over the topness of it, I personally love it because to me it's reminiscent of like Brandy's Cinderella.
Yes.
To where everything was
or
bold
like Ever
colors.
After.
Yeah, everything was bold colors, over the top. We're not in Regency Jane Austen. No. We are literally in fairy tale.
Oh no, it is
Regency.
And they created a universe. It's the Bridgerverse. Yeah. It's like Marvel. It's like, so we get to talk about it. And those of us who are a little neurospicy are going to find these little tidbits. And that's what makes it exciting for us. Because we need something to be, we're not even 3D people. We're like 5D people, 6D people. We need to have those things. And I love that about like, I will talk about it like, I wish they followed Regency a little more because I got into Regency etiquette because it helped me. It was like learning a new language and understanding. You could know if somebody was going to get together or not because of the patterns of the etiquette they used and whatever. And like they push so heavily about the first dance, second dance business.
In the first season.
In all the seasons. Violet's talking to Francesca about it. And I pointed out, this is how we know Debling was not truly going to propose to Penelope, because when she said, I have plenty of spots on my dance card, he said, let me take one. And he took the last one.
Whereas Violet had literally been drilling in Francesca in the same episode saying, 2 dances, that's how you know someone's serious. Like he's going to ask you for 2. But no, my whole thing is I just like to joke, like when they're not hitting the Regency stuff that they're supposed to, or Colin's getting it back, I'm like, oh, well, Colin did go off to Scotland. Maybe he went to Hogwarts and learned how to do some magic.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
We love it so much. We're allowed to tease it.
Yeah.
But I don't want I don't like when people
we don't like hate.
And I get very passionate. I get very passionate about Jess Brownell. I want 5 minutes with her, and I don't know which way that conversation's going to go. But I say that all the time. Like, there is some things that I think she did really well as a showrunner.
Amazing,
and I'm very impressed because it was her first time out as a showrunner. There's some things where I think she missed the mark. I think she was really trying to tee up Benedict and tee up Francesca, that she forgot about Colin.
And I tell you what, if they don't respect John, my little neurospicy John and his love story, I'm gonna throw fists, because if you do that boy dirty, I'm gonna be so mad, because he is.
We already know he's gotta die. He's got to die, but come on.
I think we're gonna get some spicy John, because like the way Victor was in those teasers for season 4 as John, I feel like Francesca, because like Hannah Dodd and Victor, the way they kind of were acting for the teaser in their masquerade, I was like, oh, Francesca and John are going to get a little spicy together. Like, I think we're going to get some good Francesca and John scenes. I just also think that, like, I'm expecting us to see a lot of that. So, and I think Jess Brownell did come in, and I agree. Like, I think she was excited for Benedict and Francesca. But I think the same in terms of like Chris Van Dusen. I think he was excited for Daphne and Simon. I don't know if he was necessarily excited for Kate and Anthony.
No.
And I think he was ready for Colin and Penelope to be real.
And there's evidence of that in the fact that in the presser, Luke Newton and Penelope try and say that they learned that they were going to be season 3 together, but there is an interview out there for season 2, I think it is, that I saw, where said he already knew.
Yes.
And he talks back to it where he had already been told then, but then Penn and him say later that they found out at the same time, but the timeline doesn't match up. And he talks about Chris pulled him aside and gave him directorial kind of note, showrunner notes. We need to build this up, but it's got to be subtle. So you got it. Like, it's all about the looks. It's all about where you're looking. And I pointed out several times in season 2 where that boy doesn't look anywhere but her assets. Like, he is transfixed.
Aren't we all?
Oh, yes.
So, like, when he walks into Danbury's for the soiree, he walks in, his eyes are down. When he bows to her, he's like,
oh yeah.
One of her best friends, Jack, he's a comedian, Jack
Brooke.
Thank you. He has a shirt about her boobs.
I think it's like best tits in the world or something like that.
Yeah. And I'm like, please, please, please just give it to the entire cast. And I want a cast photo of them all in it.
Whatever she said at the Exceptional Breast Club or something.
Yeah.
That she said, yeah, I want that. I fit the bill.
Yeah.
I'm in that club.
Big.
But yeah, I want to play Bridgerton MASH. So, and I got to let my dog out. So we need
to
wrap up.
I was going to say, my phone's about to die.
All right.
We'll stick it on charge for about 10 minutes after this.
Do you still have time to do Bridgerton MASH after this?
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. So we'll do our wrap up quickly. But then like I'll do my outro stuff, but then we'll still outro and then come back.
Okay.
But today, gentle listeners, we will leave it there and continue on next week's episode. If you have anything in particular you would like us to cover, or any Bridgerton knowledge you would like to share, please head over to our Facebook page, The Ladies Bridgerton. And if you're enjoying our podcast, please remember to click follow on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you are listening. And once again,
I'm waiting for the Patreon part. And once again, thank you for listening to the musings of 3 mad women.
Yours truly, Touch the Kiwi,
and Lady Patty, and Lady Aynsley.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
We have had an absolute blast. Like, we have been so looking forward to, like,
I know.
Life has been a bit lately.
To look forward to now.
And looking forward to this podcast with you has just been like the absolute highlight that we've been looking forward to.
Thanks,
because we're so like, we've been waiting for season 4 and that's way too long away.
Yeah.
It is a long way away.
Yeah. So we are living vicariously through these moments.
Yes. Thanks.